He does a lot of awareness work through his Mind Matters podcast, his Mind blog, and his YouTube channel called The Mindism.
Long introduction.
Dr. Maitri Shankar is a nuclear medicine specialist in Bangalore with over 25 years of clinical experience and expertise in her niche field across the United States and India. She works in her highly specialized niche of nuclear medicine, spanning nuclear cardiology, nuclear oncology, theranostics, radioisotope therapies, and osteoporosis. Dr. Shankar wears many hats. She is an author, TEDx speaker, and a national award-winning organic gardener. She is armed with a desire to practice evidence-based medicine both in the diagnostic and therapeutic areas of modern medicine. She is a renowned women's health activist and an entrepreneur, IIMD alumni. As a physician, she has always emphasized education and the constant pursuit of excellence. What sets her apart is her patient-friendly focus on healthcare delivery with the belief that every human has a chance at disease reversal or mitigation through a multi-pronged approach that involves, among other things, the right food as medicine. Dr. Roshan, Jain, and Michael.
Thank you all for coming and thank you for inviting me for this momentous occasion for my good friend, I'll call him Maitri, for her first and hopefully one of many books to come. I've had the opportunity of reading this Holy Grail of Health Consciousness earlier in the week. I think I was the first one to receive a copy. So, sorry Kimani sir. She had to send me, I had to have a quick read. I think it's a pleasure to be talking to someone who has put a mindful effort in collating an enormous amount of information that is widely available to us, but it is available in patches from across unverified sources. And she brings all the verified and easy to read in a conversational style, all the information that is going to be extremely useful. And the book also presents a very heartfelt desire to share everything that she has read, everything that she has done during the pandemic, I'm told, including the lifestyle medicine qualification, and presenting that information in a way that raises awareness. So it is great to see such a clearly written book by an Indian medic. We've seen medics from across United States and UK writing such books, but this is one of the first I have. It's certainly going to be on the top of my shelf. So it's a big pleasure to be here, and I think it's very clearly written with a singular agenda of raising awareness and motivating people to bring about behavioral changes in everything that they do. And unfortunately, all that is required to be done now, we are doing it wrongly. And I always tell my people that I see in the world of excesses, we don't do anything in moderation. We eat food we eat, the substances we consume, or the information and data we download. And all these things, these excesses are causing a lot of problems. Food excesses are causing obesity and a range of lifestyle problems, diabetes, hypertension, stroke. I was reading through the data earlier to say that about 60% plus people in India die of lifestyle diseases. It's preposterous to even think that we are dying as a result of things that we could avoid. So it's completely avoidable. Lifestyle problems are killing us. Maitri is an expert on that. 95% of cancers are caused by lifestyle and environmental factors. Only 5% are caused by genetic causes. So that's huge. Essentially, we are what we do, and we are dying of what we are doing as a result. In her book, in the opening statement, I've written down very nicely, she's written very clearly to say that this book will enable you to understand how to nourish your body with nutrients, how to cherish your life with joy and gratitude, and how to flourish without succumbing to the perils of common modern lifestyle ailments. And I think this book will bring together science, uh, mindfulness, spirituality in consumption, in our attitudes, in our behavior, and hopefully, as we read through over and over again, we will be able to bring about the subtle changes. Because bringing about inculcating good habits are very, very hard. Bad habits are very easy. You don't need to develop them. They clutch you, they hold on to you. Good habits are very difficult to develop. And what Maitri is doing in her book is that she is flipping it around. She's making it very difficult of inculcating good habit very easy. And therefore, this book is quite rightly called as ease. It's the ease of developing good habits, which so far, or at least now, it seems that it's very difficult to develop. So with that, I'll like to make a start, and thank you for inviting me, Maitri, and thank you for writing this book. I wanted to ask Maitri first is to say what has motivated you to write this book?
Thank you, Roshan, for coming. I think this didn't really start. I didn't have an idea that how it started. It was just that I was collecting information and made a few slides and a small write-up, which I probably would use in my regular nuclear medicine talks, which I do. And correlating it with research and medical evidence. And it was mind-boggling. There was so much that I did not know or we were not taught in medical school. So the collection began to grow, and when I was even talking to my physicians who had prescribed me medications for diabetes, they were surprised. They were like, oh, is this, kind of explained it to them once or twice, then it became boring. I said, okay, I've written these many things, you should go ahead and read it. And then they got back to me and said, this is pretty good stuff, you should publish it. And it was too much already to go into like a newspaper article or something. But the main idea was that there is this lacuna, like you said, which needs to be addressed. Medicine which we are practicing is more reductionistic and not so holistic. And even whatever information is out there, it's rather inadequate or incorrect. And even when it is correct, it is trying to either promote a product or kind of industry-driven practices. So what is happening on a global scale now is American Society or College of Lifestyle Medicine, or the British Society or College of Lifestyle Medicine, they set the international standard and guidelines, but none of that applies to the Indian context. So that was a big lacuna which I couldn't understand. And for example, there's a lot of talk for diabetes, managing your sugars. There is a lot of talk about quinoa or oats. None of that is available in the Indian context. There are a lot of millets too, which are available. There are about 9-10 different millets which can be locally sourced. However, not all of them can come close to quinoa or millets. I was on a continuous glucose monitoring patch. So I was able to experiment myself and find those correlations, which all that is in the book. I don't remember all the exact numbers and percentages of the glycemic load and glycemic index and such. But bringing in that correlation which could be useful to our Indian patients, And I've worked in the US for more than a decade, and I've worked in India for more than half a decade. And COVID put me in a position where I got back into the kitchen. And that's what I was doing in the US when I moved back here now. Even for example, kale or broccoli, these are not locally grown. They are famous or promoted for their nutrient density. However, there are more than 30 to 40 native greens which are grown in India. This is one list of that in the book, which are equally nutrient dense. So, and being a gardener myself, it was easy to bring in those kind of correlations, and I felt this this much knowledge I didn't have, or I collected it over this time period, which will definitely help many others. This is what they should be understanding better and doing. So that was more of a motivation for me to get it out there so that others will also benefit from it and make those changes which can help them kind of better.
So setting the book in Indian context is very important because the international guidelines are different. What they recommend is different, and there's a lot of international articles on downplaying the consumptions that we do. For example, there are a lot of articles against ghee, for example, to say how cardiotoxic it is and how unhealthy it is and so on. And then there were counter articles in Lancet against ghee and so on. This research have also countered the American guys. So it's good to have a book which will talk about the local context and local food. So I'm sure many of you have wanted to write a book. I wanted to certainly write a book many years ago, and I was approached. I wrote a couple of drafts and then I left it because 2-3 drafts were rejected. And then I gave up. I said, I really don't have time for this. And by the time they asked for the 4th draft, the CEO of one of the big book company had changed. And then they said, can you send another draft? So I gave up. So what does it take to write a book like this? When did you start? How long does it take?
I'd say I think there's definitely a method to this madness. It started out as, like I said, collecting some data, and it kind of grew and grew. But then categorizing it into different chapters, putting it together, and my initial part was kind of ready. It was mainly about food and pillars of lifestyle medicine. But once I certified in that gave me what more knowledge, which can address each particular disease, what we call chronic diseases. So there's a chapter on each of that. And after that, there is a series of editing, line editing, copy editing, reading, beta reading, proofreading, and then collecting it together. I'm a very visual person, I'm into imaging, so I need to like to draw and explain and stuff. So drawing stuff, sitting with an illustrator or an artist who could understand what I was saying. Then they will get things wrong, the arrow is wrong, the color doesn't make sense, he used blue leaves and it was like nonsense. So these kind of things, sitting with them and doing it. It took me about, I think, 2 to 3 years to get the whole thing together. Then there comes the artwork for the book, the front page and the back page, the photography, the illustrations, things like that. And then reaching out to people whom I have worked with in the zone of lifestyle disorders, getting their reviews, having them, sending them a manuscript, like for example, Dr. Shetty and Dr. Roshan and Obina. They're all in different, oncology, and reaching out to them and having them also add value and credibility to the platforms. That itself took a lot of time pursuing them because we didn't have the final book, sending them the manuscript in black and white and making sure the driver would give it to them on their way up and down and they were able to read it. And then there's a process of getting ISBN code and a lot of processing which goes into a book. So I hope you come up with yours soon and yeah.
It's given a labor of love and 2 years during the pandemic. I think you made a good use of time. And certainly you got the qualification in lifestyle medicine as well in regular pandemic. So you used the lockdown very well. Now, one of the things that struck me very well was the shows. Michael was talking about 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. And I always used to tell people about the 4 pillars to say that you don't have to do anything as a psychiatrist. When you motivate people, you say do 4 things. In the evenings and night, you sleep well, get up in the morning and exercise, have a good meal through the day, and connect and communicate. If you can do these 4 things, then you are generally going to have a healthy, good, and satisfactory, happy life. And these are the 4 pillars. So why don't you take us to the 6 pillars, which is the core of lifestyle medicine?
Yeah, sure. I think lifestyle medicine is not something new. It's like wine in an old bottle. I think we've both been doing that in different pieces, but somehow moved away from it. And today, in today's context, it kind of resonates and connects with the WHO definition of health, which is not just the healthy state of the body, also the mind and social connectivity also. So the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine are food, which is the diet, fitness and physical activity, and sleep hygiene, which is often neglected, stress management, substance abuse, of course, tobacco, alcohol, things like that, and positive psychology, mainly connecting to people, both vertically to your higher purpose and a cause or a hobby, and horizontally to people around you, relationships, peers, family, things like that. So it kind of brings in this holistic sense of well-being, and something which every speciality should, it should be the foundation of every speciality, if you will. And that's when I think we can all do better healing and taking care of our patients.
I think all these pillars are something that I think many of these pillars are missing in many of our lives. And next question is, I think, who should read this book and what are the takeaways from your this big holy grail?
Yeah, sure. I think there is something for everybody in it. The first few chapters are very generic, mainly about food, what to grow, how to eat. It actually starts with nuclear medicine. That's where my journey started. We mainly look at how lifestyle affects the body at a cellular level. We function, it would be iodine for a thyroid scan or sugar for a PET CT scan. We see the immediate effect of food on the scans which we do. So it comes very naturally to me to make the connection, or stress imaging where exercise changes the heart, so things like that. So it starts with that and then spans out to everything about food, what to grow, how to grow, what to eat, what to buy, reading the label, in a very scientific way. And then there's one chapter dedicated to every pillar of lifestyle medicine. And in the second half is about the top 5 or 6 lifestyle diseases, chronic diseases, which they call in India, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, osteoporosis, cancer, dementia, things like that. And there is so much new research which quantifies, there are so many ways to exercise. If you exercise like this, what diseases can it help? Or the BP can be brought down by this much, or this will not help you with depression, but something else can help you. This much amount of garlic can bring down this. Even walking for 1 minute post meal brings down your sugar by 1 mg. So there's like lot of research, practical, which we were never taught about all this in med school. So that kind of thing is in the book, and anybody who is taking care of, like for doctors who are treating these type of patients, or health coaches who are helping patients do better, or nutritionists, chefs, or even housewives, or house husbands, or anybody with a kitchen or a chef in that cooking space. There's a lot of learnings which all of us can make those small changes. It's an easy, ready reckoner, everything listed out, so you don't have to go search and things like that. So hopefully everyone benefiting.
I think one of the things that struck me in one of the beginnings of the book is when she wrote that when you have 48 hours of stress, your blood sugar shoots to pre-diabetic level. So it almost goes to pre-diabetic level, and 24 hours of proper rest will bring it down again. So that's quite striking to say that just 2 days of stress can just turn your body metabolism around and make you ill, and so on. Very, very interesting. I think that's in the very first few pages of that. And that I think keeps people to say, I need to read a little bit more about the book. Are you going to read any favorite chapters? Do you have any favorite chapters in the book, and are you going to read any, maybe a piece of it?
Yeah, sure. I know book reading is an essential part of a book release, so I kind of asked my husband, what should I read? And he picked out a very nice paragraph. I think it's in chapter 13, and I've put a mark here so I can not waste anybody's time. The chapter is my favorite because it is titled Infinite Ignorance and Limited Intelligence. I think we all what we know is so much lesser than what we don't know. The nature's intelligence is like, trumps our intelligence. This also helped me introspect and correlate traditional Indian wisdom or traditional wisdom, Indian or any context for that matter, Japanese or Korean or Chinese or anything for that matter, to the modern technology. There's a lot of healing coming in from traditional healing sciences with kind of correlate with that. So I will read this small couple of paragraphs from page 242 in this chapter. The art of healing. Healing is a highly skilled and sophisticated art form, not a competitive and capitalistic form of business. Science is curiosity, organized with logical skepticism. Modern medicine has become a statistical science. The new health systems have taken out the care and become an industry in itself. Whatever happened to the care in healthcare, it has become a health industry instead. Unfortunately, it is strongly influenced by other industries such as pharmaceuticals, supplements, and food, meat and dairy. Medicine should also be relationship-based and not just protocol or evidence-based. I became a doctor because of the nobleness of the profession and the love, respect, and reverence a healer can emulate. The word doctor comes from the word doctorate, meaning to teach. Healing requires a large heart and a strong head. My ultimate goal is to connect with my patients with empathy and help them find solace and comfort. Primum non nocere. First, do no harm. If as doctors we can identify with our ignorance, which is boundless, with the intelligence that is not limited to the boundaries of our own speciality, we can all collectively heal better. The patient's perspective of health and health systems or healthcare personnel is sometimes limited and superficial. A hospital is not Disneyland or a supermarket. Your patient-doctor relationship cannot be client or customer-based, though hospitals and corporates have kind of promoted the concept of customer risking, patient thinking. As a doctor, I will do you one better. The patient need not be a patient in the first place. He can be considered God